We are in it to have a rap conversation today, and I hope that you are excited to join me. Short version of it is I'm about to talk about how I think Drake is Brian from Family Guy and he's a rap economist. If this is interesting to you, sit tight and I'll break that down. If not, I'll try to catch you next time. But thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me. Um, let's talk. So I had an opportunity to listen to the Iceman album, and I'm not gonna hold y'all. Like I listened to it one time because I genuinely didn't feel like I could listen to it twice. Overall, I'm seeing like a lot of people make clips about like the shebang and the Janice joint. And let me tell you, like the idea that Janice could be Joe Budden is actually hilarious to me. And I think that that was a lot of what Iceman was for me. I felt like it was more like comedic relief rather than like a rap album. And I'm seeing a lot of folks that's calling like, Drake like a lyricist. And I wanna be fair in that, right? What I like about rap the most is the cognitive push that comes into it. And so the reason that I came up with him being like Brian from Family Guy is because of this particular episode, right? So there was an episode of Family Guy, long story complicated. I see if I can insert like a little side by side so y'all can watch the episode. The nigga, Stewie was wild, and I think it was when he's doing that mummy. He was being real clingy or whatever the case might be. But Lois was like, yo, he's turned up, he's tripping, he's this, he's that. She takes him to go and get some meds. Um, and of course, like it's either like some Adderall or some version of a stimulant or a relaxant. A relaxant? Is that a depressant? Shoot, girl. All right. Anyway, but depending on who takes it, it has the opposite effect, right? Because I want to say that it's a dopamine regulator, so it depends. Whatever your problem is, it fixes the dopamine in accordance to that. And of course, Brian, he's an alcoholic and all that other stuff, and he see Stewie got some pills and whatnot, so he like yeah, like oh, I'm not gonna take these pills, and he sneaks off with the pills. No story more complicated. The nigga Brian takes the pills. He's super stimulated. He's excited. I'm so focused. And Brian is a writer, right? Like this is what he do. So he go and he take off and he writes up a whole script and he's like, oh, I'm gonna do it. And I've never been so inspired before, and blah blah blah. He putting mad stuff together. He's showing Stewie this thing he got going on. Stewie's buzz. He's flopping around all over the place. He's laid up, talking slow, and that's kind of thing. And they end up going to like this Comic Con kind of joint. Long story interesting, like, bro, take it to the guy that's in this role. I feel like he's like a parody of the dude that writes like the Star Wars joints or some shit like that. But anyway, they bring it to him and his son reads it and
Oh,
he was
what do you
like,
think? It was terrible. Ah, you're speaking the language of the opposite goblins. I'm very flattered. No, it's garbage. You just took a lot of pills, mashed together a bunch of sci-fi and fantasy cliches, and crapped out a 2,000-page turd. You could tell I was on medication? Oh, sure. But that stuff doesn't make you write well. It just makes you write a lot. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to go wash the nerd chotch out of my beard. God, I didn't realize how those drugs were ruining me creatively.
this is shit. He was like, you took a bunch of good ideas and you put all this cliche shit together and you called it your own body of work. And Brian is like, oh, you're over on opposite land and you're talking to me in opposites. He's like, nah, you're a junkie, you on drugs and you did this and blah, blah, blah. And Brian's like, you could tell I'm on drugs, right? Like he didn't defend the creativity of it all. He was like, he defended himself. This is important. So when I watch a nigga like Brian, who is a dog, mind you, who is this fantastic writer, has a history of acting, and his writing capability or his sense of superiority is the fact that he actually is in in a stupid family. Like he's amongst the Griffins, right? Like Meg got her issues. Chris is the dumb character for jokes, and Peter is the dumb character, like the dumb father, right? That's just funny. Then you got Lois, who Brian is comfortably like best friends with Peter, but wants to smash Lois. Keep that in your back pocket because I'm gonna come back to that later. And then you got Meg, who's just like this ultimate reject, and then you got Stewie, who is a baby, but he's a baby genius, right? So it's all of this stuff, and it's parody, it's funny, but there was something about Brian's character that just put me like, this is who Drake is, bro. And I'm sorry, right? And I'm saying this because I think that there's nothing really wrong with it. And I'm gonna tell you why I think he became this person. I genuinely do not see Drake as a person that is like a creative innovator. And most people sleep on the fact that creativity is a type of intellect, right? It is actually a brain function, and that some people do it better, worse, or anything like that. It's a form of intelligence, right? I don't think that Drake is actually a creative genius. Like, I don't look at Drake, and even like as much as I don't like Kanye West, it's like I will acknowledge that there's a certain version of creative tap in that he has that I don't think Drake actually does. Same with like a Kendrick, same with the Cole, same with the Jay-Z, same with the Beyonce, right? Like it's all of these different people. Like even how should I say? Well, maybe this is not a fair point to make, but like Taylor Swift, no, but I don't know if that's fair to say. I don't know if that's fair to say. I'm a thumbnail that one. All of that to say, he's a guy that pays attention. And what brought me to this notion of being a rap economist and kind of like my perspective is that Drake has been the rapper that has recreated the record label inside of the space. And this is why the colonizer notation kind of stuck. But I want to give him the benefit of the doubt and talk about it in the space of building an empire and becoming this version of person. Um, Long story complicated. Once we look at the Iceman rollout, there were the episodes of the streams and whatnot. He did the ice structure in the middle of Toronto, and my purview is that he's watched a bunch of other people do a lot of different things, and he's compiled stuff that we've seen before that people actually like. And where I drew a connection to this might be his particular pathology is when folks started to highlight that he keeps talking about Rihanna, but Rihanna is the person that gave him his first number one record. And when we talk about something like What's My Name, and then his next solo number one is One Dance, you start to realize, like, oh no, he's actually studying, and he has admitted this himself, that he studies what this game is. And I think that a more important way to look at this is that Drake actually became famous as like a teenager. So he went from teenage actor to rapper. And I'm going to insert my developmental psych brain into this part. And at that particular age, it's sensitive because we go through our identity phase. Eric Erikson calls this the self identity phase where people are trying out who they want to be, and they are trying this personality type, this kind of behavior. And what works and what doesn't work is it's either pruned off because it doesn't work or it's exaggerated because it does. And this is why I feel like he's kind of like Brian from Family Guy, because he's paid attention to the things that have been effective and he has elaborated those attributes to become more and more of that person. Like there was a time where, as a matter of fact, throughout the album, he says it too, where he's like, oh, they're changing the rules now, because he's constantly referencing a rule book rather than existing in the space as the person that he actually is. And that's because I don't think he ever had a moment to figure it out. Now, this is going to bring me to that 1 a.m. at Albany song that he released. And I believe it changed to What's My Name or something. No, What's My Name? That's probably Remember My Name. One of those things. Anyway, it ended up changing. He changed the name on the album. And I'll insert it here to make sure that it's referenced properly. And this motherfucker said that he was talking to 40 in the song. He's like, I'm talking to 40 and 40 is telling me to dig deeper, like go further than what you have on the surface. And that was an important thing. And it kind of let me feel like, oh, maybe he's going to do something different, because there's a difference between an artist that makes singles and an artist that produces an album. And so when I'm going into the album and I want to hear what you have to say, it's my perception that I'm going to get your story. I don't think that I have permission as a consumer to tell the artist what they should be doing. So I'm not mad at him for going back to stuff like, like the battle and how he felt about it and the people that he felt like hurt his feelings and so on and so forth. So we're going to thumbnail that, because that I'm cool with that. But what he said, I'm just like, I don't know if I actually like you more listening to this. Going back to his commentary about 40, and he talks about going to the therapist. So he says, this motherfucker, he says, yo, the only time I see myself is when I look through the glasses of the therapist, and I'm not taking this seriously because I find her kind of attractive. And I'm like, does this nigga think he's Mike Laurie from Bad Boys 2? Are you still playing a character while you are trying to assert that you were going to be deeper or different? Pause, like in this like process. And it just like, okay. So I was like, niggas is gonna call this a ball, but hey, I'm just gonna let me hear him out. So it continues, and he starts to have a conversation about the real, like 23 and me. Oh, I'm a real nigga. He's not. Thumbnail that. It's not in my DNA. He talks about the married rapper taking shots at Cole. thumbnail at. And this is when I got to a point where I felt like, okay, he's gonna play in my face, right? Because on this track where I'm expecting to get a different level of introspection, I hear a lot of the same stuff. It's ruminating. So I want to acknowledge that too, where I'm not particularly crazy about the idea of a nigga ruminating on certain things. Like, I'm not having a conversation out loud talking about I called the nigga and you ain't called me back. And I can I'm like, yo, bro, I'm not having that conversation with a nigga face to face. Why are you putting this on the record? But it's not my position to dictate what you should say, but I am not gonna hold you. That to me is a little bit cringy. But then there's this idea that he leaves for me. This is, and so now I'm gonna give you my perspective where I felt like he was creatively lazy, or this is where you see the difference between a creative genius and a smart creator, right? So the rapping is correct. There is nothing about his rap style that I could say that is bad. His subject matter, treesh, respectfully. But it's because for me personally, it is a symbol of quantifiable weakness. It is a symbol of rumination, of the inability to get past things, that you do not believe in your actual perseverance, and that you will uphold yourself in a way that is even dishonest to you on a personal level. But that's my perspective of listening to him talk. So he made this comment about if Drake, he said something like Drake took out the AK, I'll be in the jail just for the namesake. And the implication inside of that bar is that Drake takes out an AK, the automatic weapon. That's also a reason to be in jail. But it's also if you take out the AK, there's Dre and that's Dr. Dre. Hear me when I tell you that this is what I would have liked to see cognitively happen on this song, creatively happen on this song. When he made that bar, I felt like that bar on its own could have been a song. I feel like he said he could have named the song Drake with the AK and it could have been fully about West Coast hypocrisy. And I'm saying this because I'm also a nigga from Brooklyn and we have that stupid bias in us anyway. So hear me when I'm telling you. I felt like this was an opportunity for him to take that bar, make it a song, talk about the West Coast hypocrisy. Because yeah, you talking about weird cases, but you running around with Dr. Dre, I felt like that was a worthwhile shot. No disrespect to Glasses Malone. It's like, yeah, you talk a lot of stuff about the culture and everything else, but I'm like, yeah, bro, you used to be signed to Cash Money. When I found out that Glasses used to be a part of the Cash Money crew, I was like, get the fuck out of here. Y'all niggas used to be like in the same vicinity. I would have brought that up. And so, and this is why I say, like, I don't think that it's my position to tell him what to say, but I feel like that was a missed opportunity. And him taking that notion of hip hop or West Coast hip hop hypocrisy and putting it together in that kind of way and combining it with Too Hard for the Radio, I feel like that would have been like, oh, you can't argue with that nigga about that. Do you understand what I'm saying? That was one of those moments where I was like, you left something creative that was powerful on the table. From that same song, he had that 23andMe bar, right? So understand the 23andMe bar for me personally is not so clever because there's literally someone, and I'm gonna see if I can find it. There was someone on the internet that said, why is nobody calling LeBron and Bronny 23andMe before the album came out? And so it's not to say that the person that came up with it online is not creative or anything like that. It's to suggest that people of a certain thought pattern would have thought of that automatically, or that was arguably a mid-range low-hanging fruit. Does that make sense? But if you had taken that song or taken that bar and created that in the structure of a song where you're talking about just your brothers that turned on you, 23andMe, and you could have went through all of the basketball players. You could have talked about the married rapper. You could have talked about all the niggas being weird and so on and so forth. And I feel like in that one song, there were two songs that he could have built up and it would have landed a lot more heavy. And even when you think about it, if you're talking about 23andMe, and he actually said it's not in my DNA, how do you not seize the opportunity to take some kind of sample or some kind of reference to Kendrick's song DNA to put it in there to land it back like fuck y'all? Do you understand what I'm saying? And that was the thing where I say, like, cognitively, I feel like, bro, you left stuff on the table. And this is what, when someone says they leave a lot to be desired, that's what that looks like for me personally. I feel like cognitively it ended up falling a bit short because of that reason. And I'm like, yo, to miss out on having that kind of creative expression, it to me suggested, I'm like, yeah, he's just not the person that I'm looking for, like musically. Because there's certain things I'm just not gonna repeat, right? Like a lot of people just try, oh, he left mad gems, it's mad entendres, it's mad this, is mad that. So they reference like the homophones and whatnot, like, oh, Iraq and I do buy Chanel, like I'm Mid-Eastern. And I'm like, bro, you are like, and I'm sorry, I'm saying from my perspective, it's like, bro, those are cognitive farts. You are literally taking excellent strategy and putting it into structures that are weak and just don't make sense. And this is a recurring theme. I'm not the only person that thought that, because it's just like, this motherfucker said, blow me like some green tea, baby. What are you talking about? So you're like, that shit was so, you need more than fingers in you, nigga. And then I'm hearing niggas is like, oh, this is for the girls. This is what y'all say to bitches outside. Listen to me. I fully understand that I'm probably like the old chubby professor that's from that Family Guy episode. I am not the demographic. I fully accepted that. That is cool. But I'm like, this is what y'all outside saying to these bitches for real? Y'all in the club talking about you need more than fingers in you? This motherfucker said you put the X in expensive. You so annoying. What did you say to me?